local podcasters to St. Louis radio, this is Wine About the Region, talking local politics and other news from around St. Louis and the state of Missouri. Now here they are, your host, Bill and Tiana.
All right. Here we go again, and thank you for joining us and listening to Bill and Tiana, Wine About the Region, where we talk about government and the politics behind it, nonprofit and the people behind it, business and the money behind it. Let's go, T.
We'd like to thank you for tuning in to hear Bill and Tiana whine about the region. If you have any ideas of topics or people to interview for the show or interested in advertising or sponsoring the show, message us at Facebook at BT Winery or email us at btwinery@gmail.com. Hey!
Oh, look at that, PA!
Your turn, Bill.
All right. Well, we want to thank the great folks here at WGNU 920 AM for the opportunity to talk to the community that we all here care about. And again, I want to give a shout out to my folks on the radio during the week, the Pascal Show running Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 12 noon. Please go check him out. I do want to, I guess, for a minute, give people an update on what our coming shows are, at least what we have sort of on the books.
It's Valentine's month. Valentine's Day is coming. I have my red on.
Oh, wow.
And we're still looking for love for Bill. So anyone that we have a few entries, but let's make it exciting. Give a good pool to pick from. So you can email me at Tiana, TEONA, MCGHAW @yahoo.com to enter a drawing to go on a date with Bill. You guys will do a live show at the restaurant of the Bill and Tiana Wine About the Region where you are at. So come on, ladies. You know, hey,
don't leave me hanging.
Don't leave them hanging, y'all.
Putting me out here like
I'm
this.
I'm putting them out there. Bill, we about to find Bill some love. So you guys enter the drawing. Go ahead.
All right. Well, thank you so much to you.
You're welcome.
We'll see how this turns out, everybody.
Yeah, I think you'll be happy.
Anyway, so as far as our coming shows are concerned, next week on February 8th, we have Alfred Montgomery, who happens to be running for sheriff in the city of St. Louis. He's going to come in and speak with us. And actually, before we get him on the air, we have somebody coming in to talk about the importance of the census. So they'll be talking about getting people involved. Yes, so she's scheduled. We're going to give her a few minutes to let people know about the significance and importance of taking part in the census, because it's really important with respect to as a region, you getting a portion, appropriate
Everybody
amount of
needs
federal
to be counted.
funds. People don't always understand
Everybody needs to be counted. That's for sure.
And on February 15th, that is kind of our honorary Valentine's Day program, and we're calling
Love and Politics.
We're calling that Love and Politics.
Love and Politics. Does anybody out there know Shantae Harmon? Shantae was Moline Acres' alderwoman, and she is a powerhouse. She has a great cooking show. Her and her husband, they do a podcast, and I want Shantae on the show. Bill wants Shantae on the show. Shantae is what? Our girl, right?
That's my dog.
Right,
Shantae's my dog.
So Shantae, you bring it home for us. You and your husband are our Valentine's Day couple special. We're going to talk about politics and love and how all that goes hand in hand.
Don't forget to mention the man, Cornell Young. That's her husband. Let's at least say his name.
Look at him. Sorry, Cornell, but Shantae, my girl. You handle that in. That's why we work well together.
Okay, well,
you handle that in.
So we have that going on February 8th. That's our Love and Politics episode. The week after that, February 22nd, and I mentioned this last week, we have Sylvester Chisholm on, and he's an entrepreneur, took what most people would consider sort of a mom and pop type of business and made it big. Like, he started with car washes. He expanded his car wash business not only to include locations, but he does contracts for large companies. Like, he'll come and do detailing at the parking lot where a bunch of cars are. I think he has a couple contracts with airports as well. Wow. So he's doing some amazing things. He did a TED Talk, too, I think probably a few months ago. Yeah, so he's a pretty amazing guy.
I'm looking forward to meeting him.
And I do want to throw one other thing out. We're still working on the 29th, February 29th, but on March 7th, we have Mr. Wesley Bell our St. Louis County.
Is it April 7th or March 7th?
It's March 7th. I put a 4. It should be.
Okay. Wesley, finally.
That's my birthday.
Is that your birthday?
Hey, happy birthday.
No,
it's your
Wesley,
birthday.
when Wesley's here.
Okay, well, so what? Pop in. Pop in. We'll just sing happy birthday to you.
I knew I had a good vibe from her because she's a March baby. I'm March 4th.
Look at y'all. And my mom is March 8th, so my mother, oh my God. Hey, Mom.
All right, again, as far as the show is concerned, if you're interested in sponsoring and advertising with the show, be sure to hit us up, BT Winery on Facebook or btwinery@gmail.com. Now, T, you had a big week.
We kicked things off.
Yeah.
Team Tiana came through. Y'all definitely came through. Let me just say thank you. I want to say thank you to all the texts I got the next day saying they could not get in the room and get to me. It was crowded. The Pasta House. Shout out to the Pasta House.
Yeah, shout out to the Pasta House.
The Pasta House. The food was good. We had so many people there that they brought out extra food and they brought it out for free. So. And then after that,
they let us stay.
And they closed at 8, and we didn't leave till 10.
We were still sitting in the restaurant like Goodfellas.
Y'all came through, Tiana. If I never ever knew my worth before, I always tell my story. You know, young girl, above the knee amputee, low self-esteem, trying to find my place in the world. If I didn't know my worth, I definitely can feel my worth now, and I can feel the diversity. The room was full of babies and older people and all type of ethnics and. That's just how it's supposed to be done.
That's just how you roll, right?
So I fuss about diversity everywhere I go. Like I said, the campaign kickoff, a lot of times I'm the only black in the room. I guess it's special to me today because being the only black in the room, she's that kind of person. She's going to, hey, how are you today and all that. So, it makes a difference when you feel the warmth, when you feel welcome, it makes you keep showing up. And I got friends that think I'm crazy, and they're like, "Why do you keep doing that?" Or "What's the point?" And I'm just like, you know what? Sooner or later, it'll pay off.
If it's on your heart, you got to do it.
And it paid off this week.
If it's on your heart,
thank you, Bill.
Absolutely.
I didn't want to have a kickoff. I did not want to have a kickoff. I said, people, they know me. They ain't gonna come. They gonna say I'm just a girl always running and. They got other stuff to do, but that room was packed. It was a beautiful thing.
And
they kept saying, everybody got to go in the room, but if we came in the room, we probably would have died or something because it was hot.
We didn't want to get musty in there. It was a lot of people in there.
But thank you. I'll be on the ballot, 75th District. We coming. We coming.
Well, as far as your value is concerned, I do want to make sure everybody knows that I value T, which is why I work so hard on her behalf on a lot of things.
You worked really hard.
One of the things that I know we've talked about this in the past that I'll mention again today is, while we both have done a lot of work to get in this space and be able to have a voice to speak to the community, she's the reason why we're here in the first place, asking me to do a podcast, and I begrudgingly, because this is so outside of my character and comfort zone, begrudgingly said, okay.
I just thought we was funny because our life was funny even not on camera. So I was like, we need to take this thing big, Bill. We be arguing and hitting each other over the head with books and stuff. It's like people need to see we still fuss, but we still get the job done. All right. And that's a big deal. All right, well, a lot of people can't get the job done.
And as far as getting the job done is concerned, let's go ahead and start getting the job done and get to our guest for today.
Are we about to get the job done?
Yes,
Let me see your pen, ma'am. We are going to write you our first thank you. We have these nice Bill and Tiana note cards now that we are going to give our guests to thank them for coming on our show. Boom. Yes. And so, Maxine, introduce my girl. Let's get it going.
All right. Well, just so y'all know, I want to disclose a little bit about myself real quick before we get to our guest.
Okay.
Every show that we've done where we've been on the radio, I've worn my sandals with socks. Today, she is the first guest for whom I have put on some real shoes.
Thank God. Woo! Girl, he had them toes. I'm so glad you came on. If you didn't do nothing else, you made him cover them feet up, and that's what's up. That is what's up.
That is an honor.
Some real shoes. I'm like, I can't go there to sandals.
And shout out, I guess she brought me luck because I'm driving my car today.
Okay.
Oh, I finally got my car back. And my car's been gone for a month. It needed a new motor. And I fought on it because they were trying to tell me I had to buy the motor, but I'm a paralegal of 19 years, and I got all my paperwork together, and I have a motor that's covered up.
And they paid for it.
Correct. They couldn't take me down. They couldn't take me down.
All right. Well, today, like I said, this is a special and important guest, and we're honored to have her here today. Today, we're sitting down with a woman who has had literally a bear hug on corporate America for the last decade plus.
She's such a sweetheart.
But just like many recovering executives, which I would consider you a recovering executive, she has found a new passion and is focused on community building, which I think is a wonderful thing, and that's a big reason why we have her on the show today.
She's a short lady, but she's a giant.
So today we are here with the founder and former chief executive bear for the Build-A-Bear Workshop. And now, civic leader across the St. Louis region, we have the legendary. Maxine Clark.
Maxine in the house.
I'm so glad to be here. It is. I'm already like my day is going to be so good meeting with you guys first thing, and I can see why you have this chemistry that's really fun.
You think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't have known beforehand that you were such good friends and that you have this give and take.
He's not my friend.
I don't like her.
But
we're just acting right because you're here.
No, it's natural. I can feel it. So don't make that up. I know it's right. I can feel it.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're a good person.
Thank you.
I want to say that because
that's the best thing
the first time you were in the same room with me, I stayed far away from you as I could. Like, oh my God, Maxine's in here, and then you came up to me. Is that what you do? Do you look for that person that looks like they're shying away from you?
No, I look to meet new people that are, going to make a difference in the world. And sometimes you can spot them, and sometimes you just got to say hello. But I'm out for St. Louis being a much better place to live, work, and play. And the only way we're going to get there is if we all hold hands and hug and do it together. So
a lot of people
I love to meet new people, and you just had a smile on your face, even though you might have been scared. I didn't know that. And I don't know. I always wonder, why are people scared? I'm only 4'10" or so.
Well, I guess it's just what you've done, and you've done so much for women of color. That's your focus. You don't have to, I'm not, you're not getting a little crazy, but you're a white lady, and you don't got to care. You don't have to care.
I'm so fortunate to have friends of all backgrounds, from Vietnamese, Chinese, African American, Jewish, Catholic, old, young. I just am a very fortunate person, and this is what makes my life. I wish everybody had my friends in my life, because it's the people that make a difference, and they teach you so much. And when you stop learning, you really get old and grumpy. Mm-hmm. And I learned so much. So I'm also, very fortunate. I had a successful business, and the business was built here in St. Louis, although it was a worldwide business, and I want to be able to give back to the community what I got, and especially help young women and minorities, young men. We were in here talking earlier, how to get your business off the ground. How do you invest properly? Where do you get the money from? And there's so many people to help you, but everybody doesn't know where to go.
They don't.
And I try to be that connector for people, not because I'm going to necessarily write the check, probably not, but I know people who will, especially if you have a good idea. And I also know people who can help you with your idea if I don't know that field. I certainly am not a technology expert or a real estate expert or anything like that, but I've had enough experiences and get other people together. And then people say, thank you for introducing me to that person. Boy, they have a great idea, and you never know where that's going to go.
I'm going to ask you to touch bases with Mia when she's at our gala this year, because I want Mia to go really far with those cookies.
I'll help her.
Yeah, I want Mia.
They're good.
I love you, Mia.
All right. Well, I know you didn't come here to talk about your business past, but what I want to do is make sure that folks that might not be really familiar with you in our community, that might be listeners, might be viewers, kind of get a breakdown of where you've been. I mean, as I said, you're kind of a recovering executive moving into that civic space. You founded Build-A-Bear Workshop in 1997 after spending a long time as a retail executive. Just kind of give people a little brief history of sort of your journey. How'd
give
you
us
get
the
here?
good, the bad, and the
Let me
ugly.
go back a little farther, because sometimes when young people are listening to the show, they think that, you just snapped your fingers and you got from A to B. But honestly, when I graduated from college, I majored in journalism. I loved to communicate, and I majored in journalism, but I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be in politics.
Okay.
And I, in those days, it was a long time ago, 1971, women were traditionally teachers, nurses, social workers, or secretaries. And I went to law school. I tried to law school. And in order to go to law school, I had to go to work. And I went to work at the May Department Stores division in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
They had the famous bar here, and it was the company there. And I was very fortunate. I got a great job, and my boss, unfortunately, got ill, and they needed me to fill in. And I had to work longer and harder and couldn't go to school. I took a leave of absence from law school, and I'm still on it today. And so you might go on one path, but if you open your eyes to something else, there's that opportunity that you can walk through that door, and that door may lead you to many, many more opportunities. You can always go back. I mean, I always did think I would go to law school. I wanted to be a civil rights attorney, but I never did. But I think I'm doing a lot that's related that doesn't have to be about being a lawyer to do it.
You wanted to be a civil rights attorney.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's huge. It always just touches my heart when people that aren't women of color or something like that care that much about my group, the women of color, that try to, or people of color, period, that they want to help us.
Yeah, my mother was worked for Eleanor Roosevelt. She was her private traveling secretary.
Okay.
And so in my house, you knew about all these things. And my mother was an activist. And I just thought they were her friends, but they were kind of plotting and doing stuff in the living room. So, it was like they were getting together to change the world. And my mother mostly advocated for children with disabilities. That was her civil right. And so she...
Well, that's the connection with
Yeah,
you.
that is it. That is it. She called them differently. Everybody was differently abled. And so that war on...
See, we've got a questionnaire that we'll be rolling out statewide with the caucus, and they put differently abled on
Yeah,
it.
that's what
and
you
they said, Tiana, you make me think of you as differently abled, not disabled.
Right, exactly.
And then you get on her and you say that.
It's true.
Shout out to you, Julia. Did you just hear that? You just heard her. She feels the same way about that word.
And everyone has, all children are born with gifts. We just have to help them find it. And sometimes they have a different ability than others from a physical different ability.
People to help me find gifts.
But you have to you have to move forward. What options do we have? And then those people add so much value to the life.
All right. Well, to all those differently able, I might call them uniquely abled.
That's a good one too.
Okay,
all right.
I like
we'll be right back. Bill and Tiana Wine about the region.
We are taking a break.
WGNU 920 AM. Be right back.
Are you over 50? Would you like to get up to 33% more income in retirement? Then call now for this free book, Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers, from a leading financial firm on maximizing your income in retirement. That's right, free. This free book reveals little-known truths about annuities in simple-to-understand terms that will help you make the right choices before buying an annuity. And it's free. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report summarizing the rates and benefits from financially strong insurers. That's right, Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers and Annuity Rate Report, both absolutely free for calling today.
800-716-4650, 800-716-4650, 800-716-4650. That's 800-716-4650.
Producers have the appropriate licenses for the products they offer. Increased income is possible using strategies suited to your goals and may require buying multiple annuities and holding them full term.
Packages start at $39.99 a month with signed agreement. Restrictions apply. Speak to a representative for complete offer details. See Vivint.com for license details. Homeowners, if you're looking for the best in home security and smart home technology at a price you can actually afford, we have great news. You can now get Vivint's award-winning smart home security systems starting at about $1 a day. U.S. News and World Report has recognized Vivint as the top home security system of 2019, calling the Vivint system the best for a complete package of home security and automation, the best pro-installed home security system, and the best home security system with cameras. And right now, you can get Vivint's best home security and smart technology for about $1 a day. Plus, get free professional installation. Protect your home and loved ones for as little as $1 a day. Call right now for your home security consultation. 800-884-8375. 800-884-8375. That's 800-884-8375.
Hey, y'all, it's the Pascal Show on Real Talk, WGNU. If you're literally trying to type out pork,
right,
and it types out porn,
yeah,
something's
you've been on Pornhub.
Why have you been looking at my phone, Pascal?
I just been looking up pork. Yeah. That's all I've been looking for. Mm-hmm. It just keeps autocorrecting. It's all its fault. Come on and join in on the madness weekday mornings from 9 to 12 p.m. right here on WGNU.
So straight.
All right, we are back. She over here talking.
We're back.
We are back.
We are back with the short lady that's a giant. A short giant. Have you guys ever heard of a short giant before? This lady is a short giant. Her presence commands the room.
All right.
I have a saying. You're never too small for someone to look up to you. Because even children today, there's so many children that are out there being activists and starting businesses, and I admire them. I look up to them.
I do too. Mia, I keep going to Mia because I'm like, you're coming to this thing. And she was mesmerized last year when she was at they had pictures of her kind of looking around the room like, how did I get in here with these, and that touched my heart because, I know they listen to me and that's why she was there. So, how did you come up with the Build-A-Bear workshop?
Yes.
And where did that come from? That just seems like
a great idea. A great question. Everybody asks
Build-A-Bear.
I was, just before I started Build-A-Bear, I was the president of Payless Shoe Source. I worked for the May Company for 20 years, and Payless was part of the May Company at that time, and it was a wonderful job. I love shoes. I mean, you can never have too many shoes or too many teddy bears, right?
And I only could wear flats, but I'm telling you, I got enough flats to...
Me too. I only wear flats too. And I love shoes, and my boss loves shoes, and Payless was a great company. And I just was, after doing it for 4 years, I realized that it can't just all be about the numbers. It has to be about people. And I really was thinking about children, and the internet was coming on strong. And how are we going to teach kids about the fun of shopping, not even buying, just going to a mall, shopping in the stores. And one day I was out with I came home, I retired from that job, so to speak, and I came home to St. Louis, and I went out shopping with my next-door neighbor children. And one was 10 and 7, and we went looking for Beanie Babies. Remember when those were popular?
Yes, Beanie Babies.
And we went to a toy store. Me too. And we went to a store that had a sign that said, "We have Beanie Babies," but they didn't. They were sold out. And Katie was just disappointed, and she said, "Well, these are so easy. We could make these." And she made go home and do a craft project in our basement, which we used to do together. But I saw immediately my head exploded with Willy Wonka factory.
Yeah.
I had been to factories before. When I was a little kid, I loved to go on field trips. What if we could create a space that kids could come to in their own neighborhood, basically, and have fun and make something, especially a stuffed animal that they loved? And so we started on that, and 9 months later, we opened our first store at the St. Louis Galleria, and it's still there today.
So, were you sad to retire? And talk a little bit about your book from 2006.
Yeah. No, I wasn't sad to retire.
I was sad.
I was, because I built a great company. Nobody else could do what I did in terms of starting it and envisioning it and getting it, building the culture. But somebody could take it to a new future. It was important to find the right person, and Sharon is that good person. So, and she's been doing it now for almost 7 years, which is really, I thought it was yesterday, but it's gone by fast. Wow. And also, I wanted to build something kind of like what Walt Disney did, something that would last last long after he was on this earth. And you can't do it if you do it all the way to your last day of working, and then there's nobody to take over. So I wanted to do that. And I also had a lot of other things I wanted to do in the community. And I felt the community needed an advocate, needed somebody who was curious like me, needed my financial well-being to bring to it. Right. And also I wanted to inspire other entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurs of color, because it's just this incredible talent in our community. St. Louis has many assets, but we don't really even know the kids that are thinking up these ideas, like Mia, that have great ideas, that have great business potential. They just need a little bit of help. Sometimes it's not even money, it's just advice. And how can we make ourselves, those of us who have that, make ourselves more available to them? And I couldn't do it working a full-time job like that, so for sure.
All right. Well, ever since you retired as CEO, Build-A-Bear has been active. They've still been doing things. I mean, I read, and I always do my research. You guys have developed a record label or music label, a production company. And actually, I think I read just recently that you guys moved or are moving your headquarters.
Yes,
so talk about those couple of things.
The headquarters is really exciting. I mean, we have this wonderful little headquarters out in Overland off the highway there, and I love it. We made it, an office park into our wonderful headquarters. But we always wanted to be, known, people to know St. Louis, that we were here in St. Louis. And there was no place to really go that was like an iconic location because there just wasn't one. I mean, we originally, when across from Forest Park, they took down the hospital and they were going to build a big development there. We thought we could be part of that. But actually, when the Union Station started to be redeveloped and Bob McLaughlin was doing all this work to bring the museum there, it became the perfect place. And they have an office tower there, so we could move we could build a flagship store, one that everybody would want to go to, and we could also have our offices there, and everything could be together. And build a museum. I've got so much stuff in my garage that needs to go into that museum. And build a museum so everyone for generations will know the history of Build-A-Bear and say, I could do that. Yeah. I could do that. Yeah, I could do that. That would be the goal. Yes.
That's an awesome thing.
One more question before we transition from talking about Build-A-Bear. And I'm going to mention one word, and I want to get your reaction, and you explain what it means, because it comes from an article that I read just a few weeks ago about you. And that one word I'm going to say is Yoda.
Yoda. Well, the wonderful team at Build-A-Bear, which I had absolutely nothing to do with except starting this company, we've done Star Wars products for a long time. I've been a licensee. And the new show that's on Disney Plus is about Yoda and Baby Yoda. And the team at Build-A-Bear was really smart enough to, with our partnership with Disney that we've had forever, maximize that. And Baby Yoda is coming to Build-A-Bear. And so I can't wait.
And Yoda that's Star Wars, right?
Yeah, Star Wars.
Okay.
Wow. And he was that cute little person, that wise person, so it fits. He was always sort of littler than everybody else, but this is little Yoda. So I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to have one myself because of all the Star Wars characters. I really looked up to Yoda.
All right. Well, okay. So let's transition. Since Build-A-Bear went public, I believe that you and Bob Fox created the Clark Fox Foundation, actually in the same year that you went public. So let's talk about sort of that transition in your life. What was your vision for the foundation, and why did you pull the trigger on doing that during that time period?
Well, my husband and I both were entrepreneurs. We both had successful businesses, and I worked for the May Company, which was an incredibly generous and civic-minded company here in St. Louis before it was sold to Macy's, and still Macy's is a good company like that. And I had good examples. I had bosses that were successful, and they gave back to the community, and they encouraged us to be part of the United Way and to join boards and to be part of the communities. And so that success that we had from our businesses, we wanted to replenish into the community. Again, investing in causes that we cared about, education, criminal justice reform, health care.
And for those that don't know, Teach for America and KIP, I think you guys were
in education, giving parents in all communities choices for their children to go to school, high-quality choices. I also would not be where I am without my teachers, and so I like to support things that support teachers. They are my heroes. And so I'm really, that Teach for America is one of those, but I support teachers in many ways throughout the community in different public and private schools, as well as in charter and traditional elementary and public schools.
Well, what does it mean to you when you hear the term Delmar Divide? Dun, 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 dun.
Delmar Divide.
Yeah, the Delmar Divide was something when I came to St. Louis. I first moved to the city of St. Louis, lived in Lafayette Square, and people were saying to me, what are you living in the city for? Why would you live there? And I loved it because I came from Washington, D.C. most recently, and I couldn't afford anything in Washington, D.C. And here I came, and there were these beautiful, big historical houses, and I went and did research on the houses, and I lived there. And I thought, this city has amazing properties.
Yes.
But as I got to live here longer, I realized there was a difference, there was a divide, and that the city was not only divided by Highway 40, north and south, but actually Delmar. And I started to do I love history, and I started to do some research on St. Louis and all of the issues that have befallen us through the years. And so that got me into it, and then I decided, what could I do about it? Our first KIPP Elementary School was over there just north of the divide on Maple and Vernon, and I would go there every day, and one day I took a turn to the right, and I went by this building. They were nailing the sign in for sale. It was the old St. Luke's Hospital, the old regional hospital, and I said, what are they going to do with this? I called a friend of mine that worked at Cortex, and I said, why don't you buy this property and turn it into Cortex West? And he said, we're so busy, we can't do it. Why don't you do it? And I said, yeah, why don't I do it? And actually, I'm the perfect person to do it.
Yes.
All right.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
You're amazing.
We're going to get a little further into that in just a moment. We're going to go from talking about the Delmar Divide to the new thing.
Yes.
With our guest, the wonderful Maxine Clark.
Maxine's in the house, everybody. Maxine is in the house.
WGNU 920 AM. Thank you for joining us. We'll be right back.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who help people that have been injured or wronged. If you've been involved in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident or injured at work, you have rights, and you may be entitled to money for your suffering. Don't accept an offer you get from an insurance company until you talk to a lawyer. And we represent some of the best personal injury lawyers you can find. Tough lawyers that will fight to win your case. And they're so good they stake their reputation on it by only getting paid if you win. So if you've been in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident or hurt on the job, find out today for free what kind of compensation you may be entitled to. Call the legal helpline right now.
800-513-5981. 800-513-5981. 800-513-5981. That's 800-513-5981.
Attention sports fans, now you can watch every football game you want all season long without leaving your home with Dish for about $50 a month. Compared to your cable bill, you can save almost $600 a year. Call right now and sign up for Dish and watch every football game you want. With Dish, there are no boxes to pay, plus get free installation as soon as tomorrow if you call now. And with Dish Anywhere, you can watch your favorite sports and channels on your smartphone, tablet, or laptop. Be one of the first 100 orders right now and get a free voice remote. Don't miss a single football game all year long and save a ton of money. Get a free voice remote and free installation as soon as tomorrow. But you gotta call All American Dish right now.
800-296-1302. 800-296-1302. 800-296-1302. That's 800-296-1302.
Hey, y'all, it's the Pascal Show on Real Talk, WGNU. Pete Davidson is putting out a NDA for any person that comes in to see his stand-up. If people sign it and they go against that NDA, they will get sued $1 million.
Hey, we're going to have some good laughs. First, sign this legal agreement where you turn over all your social media accounts to us. We threaten to put you in financial ruin. Now everybody sit back and have a good time, you know.
Yeah. Weekday mornings from 9 to 12 p.m. right here on WGNU.
All right, we are back.
We're back.
We're back with Miss Maxine Clark. And
Maxine.
We were just talking about the Delmar Divide. Now we're going to talk about the Delmar Divine. How did you come up with that idea? And you sort of touched on it. Yeah, I guess sort of. I think the thought process of what needed to be there, but tell us what was the impetus for that.
Well, first of all, when people told me about the divide, I didn't understand it because I cross Del Mar all the time. Mm-hmm. I go on to meetings in Normandy.
There's no fence here. There's no wall.
There's no divide. What are you talking about?
Here.
What are they talking about? And I realized that there are certain parts of Del Mar where it does get less densely populated, and certainly north of it is much more poverty than you would find south of it. But there's poverty in the south too, so let's not think that it's just north of St. Louis.
You are right.
But it has been a lot of wonderful, beautiful neighborhoods that have deteriorated over time, not just because that people didn't want to invest, but because people were investing in other things. Being a retailer, I understand this probably better than most because malls became the thing. In the 60s, the world of malls exploded. And those private little shops that used to be on Del Mar or on Martin Luther King or on Page, they wanted to move to their customers moved to the mall because they could buy in that nicer dress shop or the bigger famous bar or the better shoe store. And so once people moved away to shop, that took a lot of money out of communities because that's the sales tax, the revenue that goes to communities. And people didn't consciously say, I'm going to the mall so I can do bad to the store that's in my neighborhood. They just wanted to go get what they wanted to get.
Right.
And that had a lot of impact in a positive way. Malls obviously grew and retail and all these other things, and many, many people were successful, including me, because of it. But also then people didn't anticipate what was going to happen. You have to always be looking to the future. I think people didn't believe malls were going to have an impact on that local store, just like malls didn't believe the internet was going to have an impact on them.
Yes.
And there's always these cycles that come and go, and you have to look ahead so you make the most of them and you engage with them. Build-A-Bear was one of those reasons. I knew that children were going to be exposed to the internet and they were going to be doing a lot of things online, but if they could do something with their hands that was fun, it would still be a very meaningful experience, and we could do a lot of business from it. And so people just have to apply that experience idea. How do you have a good experience? And how do you make your business more experiential? Well, that's about Del Mar. Del Mar has lots of obviously, when you start in U City, Del Mar is very dense, got lots of stores and restaurants. You go up a little ways past Skinker, going east towards downtown. On one side of the street, there's lots of apartments and business. The other side of the street, kind of not so much. And then you get to Kings Highway, and it's kind of dense. And then now Jim McKelvey has developed this maker space over there, that maker community.
Yeah, that's great.
So,
I love that.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. So here we are doing our thing on this beautiful old hospital that was once a very caring place for people, reimagining it into a building for offices, apartments, maybe a school in the second phase, where 1,000 people will be coming and going in just a few years, just that now is empty, desolate, cold and moldy, and it's been falling apart. And we're going to bring life back into it, which will bring life back into a neighborhood, which will bring jobs closer to the neighborhood as well. But this neighborhood is actually an incredibly wonderful. The good news about this project taking so long is that I've gotten to make friends with people. I've been invited to weddings and baby showers, and I've just enjoyed it. It's just been one of the most
Maxine
incredible
knows
things.
no stranger.
Yes.
I don't usually.
Never meets a stranger.
And those people have taught me a lot about their neighborhood and about what it means to live in a neighborhood like this and what their dreams and hopes are. And they're not that different than mine. I just got to them faster or earlier. I'm also a lot older than a lot of those young people. So clearly they have a long way to go. It's kind of like when I bought my first house in Lafayette Square. They bought their first house in the West End. Now how do we help them bring that asset up in value without over-gentrifying the neighborhood or causing people to have to move out that live there, unless they want to. Unless they want to sell their house for more money and move. That's their privilege.
Well, you look good, Maxine.
Thank you.
I'm not going to, how when us women are about our age, but you look great.
Thank you.
And keep up the good work. I love the matte look on the lips today. I'm very much Maxine.
Maybelline.
Okay. Well, that is great. Why did you choose the location that you chose?
Well, it just happened kind of serendipity. I was leaving the KIPP school that day, and I turned right and to go home instead of going left, which I usually did. And I saw this building. I'd never actually noticed it going by because it was kind of covered in trees and stuff. Wasn't very attractive. And I thought, this is perfect if we take this building and we take what we've also done in St. Louis, like Cortex is a phenomenal development.
It is.
But it started about 15 or 16 years ago. It was just one building, an office building for Stereotaxis, which was a company that was moving to San Francisco, and that St. Louis didn't want it to move, so they built it an office building. They didn't see all those things it was going to be. Once they saw that, they said, what else could we do here? And I learned from that. I've been in Cortex many times, but I also don't see as many women there or as many persons of color. Right. And it's all technology. Well, that's not the only business in the world. Right. In fact, nonprofits in St. Louis are the third largest economic sector. People used to think, oh, they're just on the dole, people give them charity. But they pay people, and people put that money in the community, and they help people. So it's a huge amount of money in the community, and it's totally fragmented, like a lot of
social. Yeah, social entrepreneurship. It's a huge thing, and it is fragmented. There's so many nonprofits.
16,000.
That does surprise me. There's so many that are doing sort of the same thing, and they need to find places where they, there are resources there for them to
collaborate.
Tell them just so the folks who are listening and watching know exactly where the location is.
So it's 5535 Delmar. It's between De Bolivar and Union, just east of the Loop, and it's actually called, sometimes they call it the East Loop, but it's the West End, 63112. Okay. And it is incredibly convenient. Just if you get on Forest Parkway and turn on De Bolivar and you turn right, you're at our building. It's a whole city block between Clara and Belt, about 8 acres right there. It was 9 buildings, kind of cut and pasted together over a century, and really solid foundation. And there's really good ghosts in there, people that took care of people for a really long time. St. Luke's Hospital was built in 1904, just before the World's Fair, and it was a state-of-the-art hospital. It's still there. They built everything around it, so this wonderful building. In fact, the concourse of our building, the main concourse that goes end to end, is from the original hospital, and we're going to retain some of the history of a lot of the history of the neighborhood and a lot of the history of the hospital.
Give people an idea of how big this property is, just so they know.
The property is 8 acres, and it's but the building space is about 473,000 square feet. It's half a mall. That's what I like to say.
That's a lot. Wow. So I want people to understand the magnitude of this.
Huge.
This is big, and I'd be curious to know, as far as where you've decided to put this wonderful center. What were the metrics that you looked at and analyzed to assess the need?
Well, the building was there, and if it was left to stand alone, it would just rot and fall down. Mm-hmm. Somebody might come in and just build low-end, I don't mean low income, I mean low-end apartments. There's a difference. Yeah, and they might build just something that the neighborhood didn't care for or want, and I know the neighbors, and so I wanted to engage with the neighborhood. I wanted to find out, and nonprofits are a big part of our economy, and I as a donor to nonprofits, I was going all over town seeing how functional some were, not because they were poorly run, but because they take whatever space they can get. They don't have the economies of scale like a big business would. And how could I use what we've already done in Cortex or at Plant Science Center and apply those same principles? Shared space locations are very popular in America now, and there are about 500 nonprofit shared space locations. Coincidentally, there's one in Memphis called Crosstown Concourse that was an old 1.5 million square foot Sears warehouse near Rhodes College. So we're really close to WashU. And we're right near the park. I always say we're on Hollywood and Vine because the park is our front yard. It's a half a mile to the park, and St. Louis doesn't use its assets. We have so many assets in this neighborhood. The park, the St. Vincent's Greenway, the 2 metro stations, the Delmar bus line, the Loop, and Central West End. You could walk to those places from there, and people don't do that so much in St. Louis, but it's a real opportunity for us to encourage that kind of activity and make people feel safe and get outside and go up to somebody you don't know and say hello.
And we do best.
And we want to do that in our building. Our building will have a lot of shared spaces, so people don't have to rent. The tenants that are the nonprofit tenants don't have to rent conference rooms and all that. We're going to share those. So about 20% of the space will be shared spaces, and we're going to have open activities that people can come to from the neighborhood, learning experiences, professional development. Wi-Fi. We're going to have a lot of things that will be a benefit to the neighborhood, but most of all, we're going to establish this great building, this great edifice that will be regal again and well lit and public and people coming and going. It's also going to have, this is important, 150 apartments that are going to be for teachers, nurses, social workers, young, diverse professionals. Wow. We want them to come and live in this neighborhood, and when they're ready to move into a bigger space, they can buy a house in this wonderful neighborhood. That's what happened in Tower Grove. They built a few, and people live there. Now all these young people live in Tower Grove. Yeah. How do we get young people to want persons of color, of any background to come and live in this neighborhood. It is a great neighborhood. It's so convenient to everything. I can't believe it's such a well-kept secret myself.
You've got the formula, it sounds like. It sounds like you are making the formula.
Well, we're working on it.
When will it open? Do you have any tenants signed up yet? And tell us about the amenities. You told us a little bit about the amenities, but...
Well, so remember, it's actually... 3 parts to the first phase. One is the tenant space, long-term office space for nonprofits. Mm-hmm. And we have about 60% of that on a letter of intent. So people getting ready to sign leases now. And we're very excited about that. And then we're going to have in that space, we're going to have about 5,000 square feet of co-working space. Like you can come in and plug and play. Okay. So if you wanted to have an office there, you could say, I'm coming in for a day. I want to pay for a desk. And you come and sit at the desk. We're going to have, and then we're also going to have these apartments, which is very important because I was looking for an apartment for a friend a year ago who works in near U City. And she's a young person making entry-level salary, and I couldn't find. And she didn't want to have a car; she wanted to walk, and I couldn't find anything close by that was reasonable. It was crazy. I didn't know how expensive St. Louis was, and I realized
that's important. You couldn't find it, so now you're trying to help people.
Yeah,
like
and we're going to have lovely apartments, not gigantic, but lovely apartments for young people. They're not meant to be really family apartments, but young singles and couples who want to live in a cool place. That want to look at how close you are to the West End and the Loop, and you want to be able to use public transportation, think about sustainability, think about living in a place that's been repurposed, not torn down. A lot of values that young people have today, and that you want to live with people who care about the community like you do. Social workers, nurses, teachers, public safety workers, public health workers, those young people that we need in our community. And we actually have universities, the best universities in this country, training them, but they leave. They stay. Yes. Many stay, but many leave.
We don't
want anybody to leave.
Left. My son stays in Seattle. He's an engineer. He's like, I'm going to Bowen up in Seattle, Mom. St. Louis Missouri's no place for me. And I'm like, so I'm working hard and I'm running and just my kid. I want to make Missouri a place where
he wants to come back.
Engineers want to stay. My son has a dream that he wants to take downtown. He's like, downtown is the most boring downtown in any state that he's ever been in. He wants to revamp downtown like all these other cities.
Well, we need him. We need young persons of color, engineers, doctors, lawyers, teachers, nurses to come and see the opportunity in St. Louis. The past is definitely not great, but we can change that past. The young people can change the past into the future because they have the vision for it.
Thank you.
Well, real quick before we go to break, give us your sales pitch, whether it's a
sell yourself to us,
an established nonprofit or a small sort of newcomer nonprofit. Give us your quick elevator pitch for them and why they should choose this space to be in.
Well, the first reason they should choose the place to be in is because it's going to be affordable, it's going to be a great location, and it's going to be other people like you who care about the community. So there are lots of people to collaborate with. We're going to make it really easy and pleasant for you to come to work. Social workers, people that work in this space, are the most stressed out workers that we have, low paid and high stress, because they deal with parts of the community that have the most stress. So we're going to have a lot of amenities in the building that make it more pleasant for you to come to work every day. And share, and not because any one company could afford to do those things, but all of us together sharing the overhead and the fact that this is a building that we were able to buy from the city at a reasonable price and turn into this great place for thinking and being and growing and thriving.
All right. Well, this is an extraordinary project. I can't wait to get into it.
Make sure we get invited to the ribbon cut.
Please do.
Make sure we get invited.
We'll be invited.
And we're going to make sure the T gets to stand on the line with you to cut that ribbon, right?
Sure.
All right.
He's
well,
so funny, Bill.
We'll be right back. Bill and Tiana
with Maxine.
We're here with Maxine Clark.
Maxine is here.
WGNU 920. Be back.
So you've decided to go to college. That's cool. So pop quiz. Which is a better way to earn your degree? Commute to college and fill your gas tank, get stuck in traffic, drive in bad weather, try to find a parking space, walk a half mile to class, or learn online at Independence University. In the park on a bench, on the beach on a towel, or on your couch with your kid. Your campus is wherever you want it to be. You don't go to college. College goes to you. That's independence. That's Independence University. You schedule classes around your schedule, and all your supplies, including a brand new laptop and tablet, are included with tuition. At Independence U, you'll learn from professional instructors with real work experience. You'll get personal support in school and lifetime placement assistance when you graduate. Get your degree, but keep your life. That's independence. That's Independence University. So if you're really smart, you'd call now. 1-800-940-0270. Independence U for an independent you. 1-800-940-0270. 1-800-940-0270.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson paid for by the Sentinel Group. This is an important message for anyone diagnosed with cancer after being exposed to Roundup or other weed killers. A California jury recently found Monsanto's weed killer caused a groundkeeper's cancer and issued a verdict for $78 million. More evidence found that Monsanto, the manufacturer of Roundup, may have known that Roundup and other weed killers were likely linked to organ damage and cancer. This information was hidden from the public as proprietary trade secret since 1981, and Monsanto may have failed to adequately warn about the potential risk of cancer. If you or a loved one was diagnosed with cancer after being exposed to Roundup or other weed killers, you may be entitled to significant compensation. Call the Sentinel Group now. You'll pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Don't fight it alone. Call 1-800-684-1380. 1-800-684-1380. That's 1-800-684-1380. 1-800-684-1380.
It's the Pascal Show on Real Talk, WGNU. If you're literally trying to type out
Santa.
pork,
right,
and it types out porn,
yeah,
something's
you've been on
like,
Pornhub.
Why have you been looking at my phone, Pascal?
I just been looking up pork. Yeah. That's all I've been looking for. Mm-hmm. It just keeps autocorrecting. It's all its fault.
Come on and join in on the madness weekday mornings from 9 to 12 p.m. right here on WGNU.
All right, we are back.
We're back.
There we go.
With Maxine Clark.
Yes.
I can't believe this. I want to real quick just say thank you, Kathy Ellis. I'm getting really used to the pearls, and I'm wearing them. I've worn them 3 days this week. Kathy, you're amazing, and I'm going to keep. Even Maxine said these look great against my skin, so good job, Kathy.
All right.
You can. Is it on me?
Yeah.
It is on me. Okay, tell us about your Wash U partnership.
Well, Wash U is we have many good partners in this project. Like a lot of things, St. Louis comes together, but Washington University was one of our first supporters, and the Brown School will be a large part of our programming at the Del Mar Divine. The Center for Human Services Leadership, which has been created by Barry Rosenberg and other people at Wash U, is going to be a professional development service that we offer to our tenants and to the people that live in our co-working space as well, to help professionalize those aspects of nonprofit work that sometimes a nonprofit can't afford to go out and hire themselves, whether it's some consultancy, it's working on your boards, it's working on your bylaws, it's working on developing a fundraising strategy.
That's important. Do you have to be a member to use the space or its resources?
For much of the resources, you need to be a tenant in the building. But we are going to have a lot of things that will be open to the community as well as we develop.
Great.
Yeah. All right. Well, what's going to be the process for these new potential tenants to get involved and to be a member?
Right. So people should go to www.delmardivine.com, look at the website, and go to the information and write a note to us what you're interested in, and we will be back in touch immediately. We are looking for more tenants. We're looking for people in the health, education, and family services and community development agencies like that are willing to work together with others to come up with much better results for St. Louis. So if you just want to work by yourself, we're not for you. But if you want to work for
you heard that, huh? Boom.
Come be with us.
Okay, and are nonprofit centers a new thing in this country?
They are. I think people are saying it's better to be together than to be apart, and there are lots of people building locations that would attract groups of. We have another one coming up here in St. Louis, in South St. Louis, Rung, which is going to be a women's empowerment center.
Oh, yes.
Just not too far from here, and I think that one's going to be great too. And I'm really proud of Allie Kindle and what she's built there, and her whole team. Leslie Gill and other friends of mine are engaged in getting that open by the end of the year.
What impact have they had in other metropolitan regions?
Well, I think like they're bringing people together to solve problems. We're not the only one that have the problems, but you can't do it when you're spread all out over 5 counties.
It takes a collaboration,
and it really is much more fun to work with others. And again, that opportunity that you talked about, meeting new people, finding out you're not the only one that wants to make this better, to solve homelessness or to help with cancer care. There's many people, and you don't have to go and invent a new organization to do it. You just need to find out who's doing it and go to work with them.
And just get the right person. Just get the right mentor. You've been an excellent mentor in your life to a lot of people.
Okay. Well, what's the overall impact that you're looking for? And I do want to take note of one of the things that's important to me. I want to everything I do, I want to make sure that there's an opportunity for people of color to have a chance to partner, to profit.
Equal chance.
Yeah, equal chance. So, I mean, the thing that's important to me, especially with new developments, big developments, is that there's MBE participation, things of that nature. So,
absolutely. Mine is women, all women of all colors, and mine is people with disabilities. Don't just leave them out. A lot of times people have not gave me a job, as I mentioned before, because they might not thought I could do the job, and I've went through a lot in my life. So
yeah. So what do you think?
So we have absolutely commitment to equity and building an equitable community and helping the community that we're going to be living in the West End grow and prosper as well. So that's just my MO, but it's the MO of all the people. We have a board that is like out of the 14 people, I think it's 12 people are persons of color, 11 people are persons of color. We are building from the community and also around the greater community so that people will see what a wonderful neighborhood this is. We have several women contractors that have already been, I think they're just now really awarding the contracts, but we've had several women that have called me on the phone and said, I got it.
I know.
And I didn't even know. I mean, I'm not in that part of the business. Our partner is Clayco Construction, and they're working with Ranieri, who actually we're in a Ranieri building that has been, from what I understand, wonderful for everybody to work with. And so that is helping. You work with people who have like-minded that want to see St. Louis grow. But our plan is to bring people together to solve the problems. I don't have all the answers. No one does. We have to do it together, and we have to do people who've lived this experience and live in the community come out and help us make St. Louis better.
All right. Well, without a question, without a doubt, no one has all the